right, so now we're going to be looking at how to use long division to convert a number to decimal. So sometimes when you do a division question or when you divide a number, you might have a remainder. I'll give you an example. I have 81 divided by 6. So let's look at this. Remember, this is my dividend. It stays inside. My divisor is on the outside. So I start division. 8 divided by 6 is 1. 6 times 1 is 6. Do my subtraction. I have 2 left. I check, do I have a number I haven't used? I haven't used 1 yet. So I bring it down, and that is 21. Now, 21 divided by 6 is 3. 6 times 3 is 18. By the time I do my subtraction, 21 minus 18 is 3. Now, at this point, I can say my answer is 13, remainder 3. And this is fantastic if you are in grade 3 downwards, right? You can say your answer is 13, remainder 3, and that's fantastic. But by the time you begin to get to upper primary, you can no longer give this as an answer. You're expected to work it out to decimal. So what do we do when we're working out the answers to decimal? I have 3 at the bottom. Now, if you notice, 3 is smaller than 6, so I can no longer divide this question as it is. So something has to happen to help me move forward. And that is where your magic decimal point comes in. So your decimal point comes in there to tell you that the next number that I'm going to be using is actually smaller than my divisor. Now, what the decimal point does up there is it allows you to keep adding a 0 to your remainder until you have worked this question out to the end, or until you have worked it out to at least 2 or 3 decimal places, depending on what your teacher asks you to do. So that decimal point allows me to add a 0 here, and then voila, I have 30. Now I can repeat and start the process all over again. 30 divided by 6 is 5. 6 times 5 is 30. 30 minus 30 is 0. Now, instead of writing 13 remainder 3, I will write 13.5 as my answer. And that's really how you work out questions to decimal. Let's look at another example. 145 divided by 4. Now 145 is my dividend, so it stays in there, and 4 is on the outside. So now let's start. Remember, 1 is smaller than 4, so I cannot start with 1 alone. I have to start with 14. So 14 divided by 4, how many groups of 4s will I find in 14? And I would find 3 groups. So 4 times 3 is 12. I'm multiplying now. Then I'm doing my subtraction. 14 minus 12 is 2. So at this point, I have 2 down. Then I'm checking, is there a number I haven't used? Yes, I haven't used 5, so I have to bring it down. So this 5 comes here, and then I have 25 at the bottom. Now 25, I now repeat the process all over again, which starts with division. 25 divided by 4, how many groups of 4s will I find in 25? 6. Now, 4 times 6 is 24. By the time I do my subtraction, 25 minus 24 is 1. So now at this point, I have 1 remaining. Again, if I'm in grade 2, or in grade 1, or in grade 3, I can say 36 remainder 1. But now that we're in upper primary, we can't give it like this. We have to convert it to decimal. So at this point, my remainder is smaller than my divisor, so I cannot continue to divide. I will put a decimal point here, and then that magical decimal point allows me to add a 0 to my remainder until I'm done working it out. Isn't that fantastic? So I can put a 0 here, and then I have 10. Now let's start the process all over again. 10 divided by 4 is 2. 4 times 2 is 8. 10 minus 8 is 2. Now remember what I told you about that decimal point. it's magical and it allows me to keep adding 0 to my remainder until I'm done solving it. Now, because of that decimal point, guess what? I can still add a 0 to 2. So this becomes 20. Now let's start the process all over again with division. 20 divided by 4 is 5. 4 times 5 is 20. Do that subtraction, 0, and we're done. Now my answer is going to be 36.25 in decimal. It's really that simple. Now we're going to try 2 more examples, and I'm sure by then you would have totally mastered how to divide numbers up until decimals. All right, so now let's look at another number. Let's look at 315 divided by 4. 315 is my dividend, so it stays on the inside. 4 is my divisor, it stays on the outside. Now I cannot say 3 divided by 4 because 3 is smaller than 4, but I can do 31 divided by 4. So how many groups of 4? So how many groups of 4s do you think I can find in 31? I can find 7. 4 times 7 is 28. By the time I do my subtraction, 31 minus 28 is 3. So now we check, is there a number perhaps that we haven't used? Yes, we actually have not used 5. So what do? It has to come down. So we bring it down. Now, 35 divided by 4. So you're asking yourself, how many groups of 4s can I find in 35? And we can find 8. 4 times 8 is 32. Now, 35 minus 32 is 3. Now, at this point, my remainder is 3, but it is smaller than 4. And remember, we are not saying 78, remainder 3 at this point. We want to be able to work it out 2 decimals. And that is where my magical decimal point comes in. And that decimal point allows me to keep adding zeros to all of my remainders until I'm done solving the problem. Now I'm going to add a 0 here because of that decimal point. All right, now so we have 30. Now we can say 30 divided by 4, or we say how many groups of 4s can I find in 30? And we can find 7 groups of 4s in 30. Now we've divided, it's time to multiply. 4 times 7 is 28. By the time I do my subtraction, 30 minus 28 is 2. Now remember what I told you about that decimal point, right? It allows me to add 0 again to my remainder. Now I have 20. 20 divided by 4 is 5. 4 times 5 is 20. By the time I subtract, I have 0, so I am done. Now, instead of writing 78 remainder 3, I will write 78.75. Please be mindful, I didn't say 78.75 because these 2 numbers are smaller than 1, so you have to call them individually. So my answer is 78.75. That is the answer to that question. Now let's look at 643 divided by 4. $643 stays on the inside because it's my dividend. My 4 stays on the outside. Now let's start. 6 divided by 4 is 1. 4 times 1 is 4. We subtract. 6 minus 4 is 2. We check. What's the next number? 4. We bring it down. Now I have 24. So I repeat the process, starting with division. 24 divided by 4 is 6. 4 times 6 is 24. I do my subtraction, I have 0. I am not yet done. I have used 6 and 4, but I haven't used 3 yet. And I must use all the numbers to be able to properly divide for my answer to be correct. So I have to bring down 3. Now, what do you notice at this point? Now I have 3 at the bottom, but it is smaller than 4. So that means that we're going to have to add a decimal point, right? Yes. But before we add that decimal point, because 3 is not a remainder, 3 is a number that I brought down from my original number, I must put a 0 in my answer to say that for 3, we were not able to divide it, so we put a 0 on top of it. Now, once I am done with that, then I can add my decimal point. And that decimal point allows me to add 0 to the number at the bottom so that I can continue my division. 30 divided by 4 is 7. 4 times 7 is 28. Subtracting this, I have 2. Remember that magical decimal point. I can add 0 again to this 2. Now I have 20 divided by 4, which is 5. 4 times 5 is 20. I subtract and I will have 0. So I am done. So 643 divided by 4 is 160.75. Please, not 75. 160.75. Now remember what I told you at the beginning of this video about decimal points. Now the magical decimal point allows you to add 0 to your remainder and to keep adding zeros to all of your remainders until you are done solving the question or until you have worked it out to 2 or 3 decimal places. Now let me show you how that works. Let's look at a question like 568 divided by 3. Now my 568 is my dividend. It stays inside. And my 3 is my divisor. It stays on the outside. Now let us begin. 5 divided by 3 is 1. 3 times 1 is 3. Do your subtraction. 5 minus 3 is 2. Check. What's the next number? 6. Let's bring it down. 6. 26 divided by 3. Now, how many groups of 3s can I find in 26? I can find 8. 3 times 8 is 24. 26 minus 24 is 2. So now we check. Is there a number I haven't used yet from my original dividend? Yes, I haven't used 8. So what do? We have to bring it down. So we bring it down here, and then we have 28. Now let's repeat the process starting from division. 28 divided by 3. How many groups of 3s can I find in 28? I will find 9 groups of 3s in 28. 3 times 9 is 27. 28 minus 27 is 1. Now at this point, my magical decimal point comes out to play. That decimal point allows me to add a 0 here to my 10, to my 1, and this becomes 10. 10 divided by 3. How many groups of 3s can I find in 10? 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 10 minus 9 is 1. Remember the decimal point? I can add a 0 again. So this is 10. 10 divided by 3 is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 10 minus 9 is 1. I can add another 0. 10 divided by 3 is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 10 minus 9 is... Do you see the pattern? I can keep going on and on and on. And trust me, I will keep having 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. Now, many times you stop here and then you write your answers to 2 decimal places. So my answer to this question will be 189.33. Unless you are asked to give an answer in 3 decimal places or 4 decimal places. But that is the answer to this question. And you just leave it the way it is. All right? And it's that simple. Do you see that long division is really, really easy? Whether you're working with very big numbers, medium numbers, or small numbers, the same pattern applies. You divide, you multiply, you subtract, you check, you bring down, and you repeat. Once you remember this, you're good.
I am learning with I Am Learning Hub.